Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends out there. I am here with a guest today, and I want to give you a little background on how this beautiful soul came into my world and why we're here together with you today. So, in all fairness, I'm going to just warn you none of this has been scripted out or planned out or really talked about, other than I want you to come on my podcast and we're going to together talk about retreats and what they mean to me. Um, because I have an upcoming retreat in about 6 weeks that's in Costa Rica. And Sarah has agreed to come on and just explore the world of retreats. Why do people want to go? Who goes to a retreat? It's sometimes people think that's only for the rich and famous. And I can assure you it is not that crowd. If you are rich and famous, you are more than welcome to come. You will be just allowed to be you. It doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is. At my retreats, we see humanity in each other. And that's the part I think I'm most passionate about. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to just explore. And I think I've shared with you guys, not probably on every podcast, but maybe so because I talk about it all the time. Over a year ago, I made the decision to invest in myself in a year-long spiritual psychology school with Dr. Erin Haskell. And that is where I met Sarah. Now, we have talked almost every weekday for a year, and we see each in class all the time. We I mean, we've become the best of friends, but also the value of having people around you that have the same knowledge or depth of conversations that can explore deep thought, which I love, but also explore life and what shows up. So, Sarah is my just dearest friend, and I'm tickled pink to have her as our guest today. And she's famous for asking me questions. You all know I love when I get somebody just ask me questions, because then I just get to go. So that's what we're going to try doing today. And so, Sarah, welcome. And I'll let you tell a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Oh my goodness. Well, Jenny, first, thank you so much for always being willing to explore my deep questions. You know, I love to ask questions, and I love the richness and the depth with which you answer my questions. And I love that we get to chat Monday through Friday. And with that, I would say, so I live in Middle America. I live on an acreage in southeast South Dakota. It's an old farmhouse that we fixed up. That's been my passion for the past few years. But I currently am also in Dr. Erin Haskell's class as spiritual psychology coach. And don't forget, Jenny, we're also in the Master Practitioner program, which is
Right?
another year
Right?
long. And so, yeah, we have found ourselves in the coaching world. And I also own a small building that is in a small town that is essentially going to be a retreat center, but I'm going to call it an experience center. So I love the topic we're talking about today. And I'm just super excited to ask you questions. So
Well,
I don't.
dive in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you remember the day you told me that you found a beautiful place in Costa Rica, Imaloa, and then you guys recently visited there, and you know, you had told me you've done retreats in the past. And I would love for you to share with people just, a little bit about your history with retreats and, leading up to, I'll save the question of
Mhm.
why you picked Costa Rica, but tell me a little bit about your history with hosting them and what
Okay.
you love about it.
Wow. Wow. Well, I have to tell you that I never actually saw myself becoming a retreat facilitator, leader, whatever it's called, hosting retreats. I do a lot more than just host, and so I'll tell you a little bit about that. But um, over 15 years ago, around I can't remember what year, um, I I was invited to go to a retreat. I'd never been to one women's retreat before, but I was invited to go to a women's retreat. It was in the mountains, which I loved, and, my dad had recently passed away, like, 2 months earlier, and that was enough, because by grief, he and I were very close, and he had it was a death that of cancer, so it was, and he had lived a long time, so he was at peace. He made his journey good for the rest of us. He took care of us through that journey, so I had time to prepare for it, but you're never ready, right? So I was stuck in that, but that alone wasn't all I was dealing with. I also was dealing with a son falling deep into addiction. As a matter of fact, he was in an aftercare program after a 60-day treatment program, and we were bringing him home so he could spend time with his grandfather too before he passed away. And in that time frame, he relapsed. So I was dealing with that and my dad's death. And um, so I went to this retreat, and I have to tell you, like, there was just something about being a part of a place, and I tend to, you know me, Sarah, I like to be the one in charge. I love facilitating, I love leading, I love teaching, but it felt so good for somebody who was here on the front line, taking care of kids, family, house, business, uh, kids in trouble and, grieving my parents who lived with us. So it, was like they were right here, then he wasn't. And my mom was grieving. And so there was a lot going on for me. And to go to a place where I was just held. We had Reiki, we did a oneness blessing, we did a vision board, we did um just a community. We just did things that helped us get to know one another. I think there was less than 20 of us there. And I just experienced what retreat was for me, but could be for others. And I took the brochure of the place we were, and when we made our vision board, I put the logo of this particular retreat center on my vision board, still have it today, where I said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start retreats. At the time, I thought I might do it for mothers of addicts because there's such a need for that. It's such a difficult journey to be on, and it's lonely there because you don't want to share too much because there's so much shame associated with it, for both the addict and the parent. But I wanted a safe place for them. But then the people that came, while I didn't really market it, I just sort of spread the word and people wanted to come. And I started doing them one a year. And then it grew to all the same people came back. So they wanted another one that they could bring a friend to or send people to without losing their spot. And so I started doing 2 a year, and I did that for a while, and then they were like, "Well, what about the men? Do they get a retreat?" The guys, the husbands, they were like, "We wanna do whatever you all do." So I was like, "Oh, wow, I never thought about a men's retreat." But my husband, Bob, did it with me, and, before that, I had, a colleague, Carl, that would go to the retreats with me, and together, we just started creating something transformative. It's a strong word, to claim, but I do believe that. And I believe the people who've been to my retreats would tell you that their life today would not be where it is. Um, and I don't know how to even put into words how that happened, but I did notice that people were like, "When is it?" So it's on my calendar so that I don't miss it every year. I had to give them advance notice. They made it a priority. They put that in the category of self-development, self-care, and, um, the these retreats became very, very s personalized, specialized, refined, and I would use the word intentional. Every part of it, every aspect of the retreats I do has an intention behind it, and people felt it, and I got the experience of seeing that they didn't know what it was. They didn't know why when they sat in that circle, they suddenly felt like they needed to cry, and I knew the reason why, because there's things going on behind the scenes that clear the energy out of the room. I'm picky about where my retreats are because that space, holy moly, it does the land, earth, Mother Earth herself does so much to give us the support we need. So the place, the building, the structure, the way it's set up, that all has to be perfect. And then you went sideways on me. and then um and then I, I did those for a long, long time, for like 15 years. I was doing them, and I grew to a place where I was ready to just up level. I wanted to do it in a new place. And one place that I love, and I definitely know the energy there, is Sedona, Arizona. And getting into the vortex energy of Sedona amplifies whatever you bring to Sedona. It gets like a projection in front of you. The mirror is big. You just get to run right into everything you, good, bad, or ugly. And I thought, I wonder what that would be like. So I did a destination retreat in Sedona, which was quite different for me because I couldn't carry my 12 bins with me on the airplane. I had to modify it and depend on the land to do what it did, and it delivered. I will tell you that was a successful retreat. I think for me, it was a big learning retreat about the energy and what it's like and the container we're in, and things I don't want to repeat about retreats, or the things that I thought, okay, I can relax over here, but not over there. And then it would be the other way around. And so I learned a lot on that one. But as we sat in that circle, I set my intention for an international retreat and decided Costa Rica. I've never been, but I just decided I wanted to do a retreat in Costa Rica next. So that's how I got to Costa Rica. I think that answered the question. As Sarah knows, I go around the elbow to get to the thumb a lot of times. And so, anyway, so what else do you want to know?
But I just wanted to know, like, how did you end up at that? What is the specific place
Oh,
in Costa Rica?
okay.
And I would love, because I remember you telling me, the magical story of how you found it. And so I think it would be really fun to actually share how that how you got there, how you found
Yep.
it, and then also, what is it that's coming up for people? But first, how did you find it?
Okay. So I've been a retreat leader for 15 years. And so I get on different mailing lists, I guess, but I do not really know. As a matter of fact, at the time, the CEO of Emaloa, we had a call together, and for him to interview me, but also for me to interview him. But he asked me the same question: how did you find us? Because it's this beautiful little retreat place and they have 2 campuses. One is on the Pacific side, I think it's the Pacific Ocean on that side. It's very beautiful, you're not that far from a beach, but it's for larger crowds. It's a larger retreat center for, like, 30 people or more, I think, which felt ambitious for me. So I said, "What's the other campus?" And it's in the cloud forest. And as soon as he said that, or I heard that, I was sold. But I'll tell you a little bit more of that in a second. I just got an email, and the email, I don't even remember who it came from. It said something about this retreat center in Costa Rica. So I went, and that's not like what it wasn't from the retreat center. It was a random email talking about it, and I explored it. And the minute I went in and looked at it, I just felt the energy. I felt it. And so I started inquiring. I started the process. Um, I I think I talked to Olivia first, and she passed me on to Jake, who at the time was the CEO. And I talked to him, and one of the things that I told him, like, what I do behind the scenes before, during, and after a retreat, the majority being before I even get to the retreat. But then I hold the space at retreat for all kinds of different things happening. And, I'm in charge of the sound system. I'm in charge of, like, all the things that happen at retreats. And the only thing I didn't do, and there have been times where I did, but chose to never do that again. I don't like being in charge of all the food, and all the food preparation, because it takes the time, to be in the kitchen, where I would rather be in the circle doing what I love to do. So I always had a, a chef that came in, and she would cook for us. And even that, I have to stop and say that, for comparison, my beautiful chef in Western North Carolina, oh my gosh, I planned around her availability. And she was such a joy, and the food was incredible. And she fed us. More than gave us food to eat. She actually sang to our food. She put love, energy into the food, her intention. She loves what she does, and you could taste it. And I had a person, one retreat, she wasn't available, and we had a substitute chef. And by her recommendation, she was good. The food was good. But I had a client attend the the first one, that one, and then she came back again. And the next year, my normal chef was back. And I'll never forget, her name was Michelle, and she's standing in the line to get her food. And she said, "I can't really tell what's different this time about the food." And I thought, "Oh no, something might be not right." Or I was like, "What?" And she said, "Well, it wasn't that it wasn't good last time. Like, I thought it was excellent. But this time, there's something more wholesome or nourishing, or I can't explain it. It just feels good when you eat it." And I said, "Oh, you're just experiencing, Deva's love, and she sings to our food." And her eyes kind of twinkled, and she just looked at me with this smile, and she's like, "I feel that. I really can tell the difference." And I could, but I just thought that was me. But yeah, so that's an important intention, because doing the work we do, that I do at my retreats, which has traditionally involved inner child work, healing our limiting beliefs, releasing trauma. That's why I got into the trauma coaching, the E4 trauma coaching with Dr. Aaron Haskell, and just to develop more skills for that, because it was more and more was showing up for people. So anyway, the intention for this aspect of food was vital. So I had asked the question when I talked to them, and he's like, "Oh, we have chefs, and the food is all locally sourced. It is a plant-based, but vegetarian menu now, so that you have a little bit. It's more than just plant-based food." And I'll be very honest with you guys. I'm not vegan. I like to eat pretty clean when I do, have food. I don't like a lot of junk foods and stuff. I like Reese cups, but that's it. And Bob is a meat and potatoes or green chili guy. And I'm like, I don't know if they'll have any of that there, and probably potatoes, but I don't know how you're gonna eat. When we went, they flew us in. That's what I loved about Emaloa. They have a fam trip for their hosts. So we all met people hosting, and we all met each other, and we got to talk about, like, ideas and the facilitating, but also just the camaraderie and the experience of being in the land, the facilities where I would be taking our guests. It's not a, um, there was no risk. I got to go, be there, know exactly, envision my retreat. So as I talked to him and he told me all that and said I had a staff of 32 people to help me, and that if we happened to be somewhere and it started raining, people show up for us, like, with umbrellas. Like, I don't have to think of any of that. And the relief that my brain felt not having to do all that behind the scenes, that I actually had a staff now that was going to take care of everything, felt like quite the up level for me. And then that energy would get to go to the guests. Like, I I didn't sleep very much. I had to wait till they were all sleeping till I could go do what I did behind the scenes. And this time it was set up for us. It was cleaned up for us. It was prepared for us. It's going to all be allowing me to just be in the lane of where my magic is, where I love to be. So I chose Verdasana is the name of this campus of Emaloa. It is in the cloud forest of Costa Rica, so central. And it's about 90-minute drive out of San Jose. So we fly to San Jose, then they drive us. They have a team that picks us up and takes us right up to the retreat center. And there's something about the forest. There's a river that goes through the retreat center, so you can go down to be by the river or in the river. Um, there's something just so peaceful. That land has been there. I did look up a lot about what's what's there. And Costa Rica, it's just got such a fascinating history. And this particular cloud forest was regenerated. It had been pillaged as cow pasture land, to the point that nothing would grow. There was just big, like, sections where it was just dirt. And a man, Juan Carlos, really wanted to regenerate the forest. He appreciated the forest. And so he replanted the native plants, and they all died. And he had someone come in and say, why is everything dying here? And they said, well, the soil has no nutrients left. And so he put the nutrients that were required, he worked with it, he planted again, and they didn't live. The plants all died again. And he spent 10 years trying to regenerate. I don't know how much money he spent. I can only imagine. But someone then told him about a cypress tree that's supposed to grow anywhere. So he said, okay, I'm going to get it. And it's non-native, but if it'll help the soil heal, we have to heal Mother Earth first, right? So he planted all these little saplings from somewhere, I forget, and they kept growing and grew and grew. And then they had to spread them out a little bit because they were growing, and so they got them all situated. I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of these trees, and they watched the forest, and they told him, like, "You're" he was older. He was retired, and they said, "You're not even gonna live long enough to see these." And that's that old, metaphor of legacy, right? Like, we plant roots that we never really get to bear the fruit from them. So but others do, and that was his story, and this land has been, you would never know that that was where it began not that long ago, and then all the native plants began to fill in around it. They came back because these trees came and gave the nourishment back to the soil and allowed for growth to happen, and I thought there's just no better history to put our feet upon, um, to lay our body on that land that understands death and rebirth of our spirit, like, it understands, like, the nervous system's exhaustion to depletion. It understands what it's like to burn out and get disillusioned and not really have a vision of where we're headed in life, That was that land, and it just took someone who saw the vision and believed in it and believed in the trees and Mother Earth to make peace with each other, right? And so he said that he wanted this retreat center. His son now owns it, or is it with in partnership with Imaloa. And so his son, named after him, Juan Carlos, is there and as a steward of this land. And I love the parallel because we all need nervous system restoration. We all are looking for healing energy. And I believe if you just show up in this land and do no work with me or anyone, you will feel yourself receive healing just from being in the space. And just the misty clouds that float by, and then there's sunshine, and in August, there might be an afternoon rainstorm. I would love to have an afternoon thunderstorm. I'm planning on there being afternoon thunderstorms in my agenda because I love them. And I just think they rattle you inside. The rain cleanses our soul. I love working with all the elements of nature. So the river, there's boulders that are monstrous, and there was no way that they could move them. And the river had actually moved around them, because they're 2 stories tall, like they're massive boulders. And when they were clearing it, the man helping Juan Carlos was like, "These are the bones of Earth." And Mother Earth has these bones, and they're ancient. They've been there. All boulders, all big rocks, wherever you see them are like that, but you feel the energy from them. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know how to explain it, except that you have to go and experience this land to understand fully what I'm talking about. So, anyway, that is how I found Emaloa and Verdasana. And after I talked to Jake, I just knew this was the home of my first international retreat. And I couldn't, I, I just couldn't design a better space for us to gather together in that sacred circle, is what I call it. And it's open to men and women, couples if you want to come, because it's about connecting. And what I do best is design one retreat personalized for each guest. So if you're there to work on something totally different, it's okay, because the way that I work with people, our wounds, our inner child work, but also calling up our own spiritual leadership. You and I talked about what spiritual leadership is this morning, and I'm real excited about what that looks like and how that might impact this retreat. I always say there's the guests, there's Bob and I, there's the staff now, and there is the retreat itself. It becomes its own being, and it lets us know its own pace, and I surrender to retreat. What people do at retreat stays at retreat, but what retreat does at retreat gets to happen. So I listen carefully to that. So yeah, she's asked me 2 questions and I've talked for 30 minutes. I can't believe that. This might be a two-parter. Anyway.
So when is this beautiful retreat happening? Up first, when is it happening? And then, what can people kind of expect? I know you can't spell it out exactly because it will
Right.
reveal itself, but like when is it happening? How do they um yeah, when is it happening? And then
Find
how
it
do they
and
sign
everything?
up? Yeah, how
Yeah,
do they sign
yeah.
up? What do they kind of
Oh,
expect? Like if there was they fly into San
Jose?
Jose, they take
Mhm,
a ride, they arrive.
mhm.
Yeah, but when is
Yeah.
it first?
Oh my goodness. Well, you have 2 choices about the arrival, but what I will tell you is that we all will gather outside the departure, uh, doors of the San Jose airport. So when you're departing, we'll probably gather and there's a lobby that hopefully is air conditioned, but we'll gather outside at 2 p.m. on August 1st. And then their transportation service picks us up. I don't know what they served. I think they have the cutest little baby bananas. We had a little snack box. I don't know if we'll get one of those or not this time, but we got one. But we get in the vans or the SUVs or whatever those things were that we got in, and we start meeting each other. We had two of them full when I went, and we traveled out through San Jose itself, which was, I'm looking at everything because I've never been to Costa Rica, but going through the city of San Jose, you see what you know, the you see how blessed we are in so many ways. There was like just we passed through one section and it houses really like, with open on one side to the street, to the highway, and you're just seeing their clothes hanging out to dry and they're living out of a three-sided stacked up housing. And I don't know, I just looked at that and probably everybody else wasn't looking out the window like I was, but I just remembered thinking sometimes you feel like you don't have enough. And I look at that like, oh my gosh, you know, uh, there's, it's definitely an eye opening, heart opening experience that you don't really need all this that we think we need in America, especially, but everywhere in the cities. So many people think we need so many things to get happy. And it goes straight to the point that we've spent a year understanding intellectually, but learning to embody it is giving our happiness, our joy, our peace, our knowing over to an outside source that, we have to have just this brand of shoes on or this purse, or we spend fortunes, on things that these people are the warmest, the Costa Ricans. They're so warm, they're so loving. And I met Americans who were there who went there and decided to stay because we are craving humanity here. We are craving that kind of connection. Um, and so I think that was the most beautiful part for me of our retreat that they hosted and experiencing it all, was just that feeling of how blessed I am. But then with that came responsibility with that awareness. And I think part of why I agreed that we would do this podcast is to just talk to people about our own spiritual leadership, that we are blessed. And my mom always used to say, no matter how bad it gets, there's always someone somewhere who would trade places with you in a heartbeat. Your problems are not like their problems. There's gonna always be somebody who would like to have your life and your problems, and so I was like, where does our responsibility to humanity start? How do we quit playing, armchair quarterback and knowing all the right answers for our politicians, or knowing all the right answers for, our spiritual journeys even, like there's so many options and of how we come to know a creator, whatever that creator is to someone. Um, and all of that is wrapped into the intention behind this, is that how are you using the gifts you have? How are you using your resources? How are you using your own voice, your own writings? Everyone has something that they can give. Art, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big or small. Random acts of kindness might be your gift. Um, you know, Providing a scholarship for someone to go to retreat might be your gift. There's so many ways to make a difference to one another, and we're not meant to be all disconnected. And with the onset of AI and people being concerned now about, like, where is this the end of humanity? Are we getting replaced? And I don't think they say things are going to happen fast, but I don't know if that'll be in my lifetime. But I don't think so, because I think that we got wired with that reptilian brain that wants to survive, and we're going to find a way to do it. And I think the only way we're going to do it is to remember who we are, and to connect to that source. And the one of the best ways, I almost want to say, well, it's one of the best ways, is to be around other people who appreciate their own spiritual journeys, but they appreciate what's on the table for humanity itself. What's on the line, and bring your gifts. Bring your gifts. And if you don't know them, then come discover them. If you don't know what your purpose is, come explore it. It's it's leave with some type of clarity. And I think the cloud forest represents that. The clouds lift, the sunlight, dissipates that the thunderstorms come, but they pass. But where are we in that? What part are we in? And can we leave that retreat rested, restored, with a clear vision of answering that call, to really step up your game, heal. Healing is one of the only ways that I think we can get there. We have so much that we have inherited. There's so much that we have picked up along the way. There is so much that has just been stuffed in this whole time. And so a safe place to let the land heal, let the work we do heal. And it doesn't look like anything traditional. It's not talk therapy at all. Um, but it is transformative and fast. And this process that you and I have been trained to be, um, doing the kind of coaching that we do, we bust up. Those boulders that I was talking about? Well, we have those called limiting beliefs, and they get in the way of our progress. So, doing some work there to bust up the big boulders in our psyche and our soul, so that that purpose, that path of purpose, just reveals itself. So yeah. I think I went off track, did I? I don't even remember your question.
No, yeah, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful dynamic. It's just, like you said, unscripted, free flowing. Um, so when they get there for this incredible retreat, what's kind of your vision? I know that you really do start planning ahead of time, but like, what would it kind of look like
Yeah.
when they arrive to the
Oh,
actual retreat center? And then,
uh-huh.
like, what can they sort of expect? I mean, I know
Okay.
you can't give everything,
Oh, but I
but
can I don't wanna ruin any surprise, but I do wanna paint the picture of
Mhm,
what happens when you arrive,
mhm.
um, because, oh, I have chills thinking about this moment. So we get there, and it's very unassuming. It it kind of goes it's built on that one, on a mountainside, so we're at the top where and you're looking, you know, slow slope down, and we get out, and, there's literally a line of people waiting, the staff, they're all lined up, and you feel like royalty. I felt like the queen, was getting out, and they're all there greeting you and saying welcome, and then all of a sudden, there's a guy that's walking around with a round tray of mocktails, and oh my gosh, the mocktails, every meal has one. They're all over the place, and they're all like this, incredibly healthy concoction. It has flowers in it, it has fruit in it, sometimes it's got, like they're beautiful, and so he walks around, everybody's getting their mocktail, and they have an array of snacks laid out, like this whole buffet table with, the best like, it was so good, and it's a lovely open air, it's like open. It's like a shelter, where we're sheltered, and so we feel inside, but the breeze is going through, and it's just open, and there's couches, and we all can sit and gather and talk and meet and have just get there and get that experience. And then they take your luggage. You will already have your assigned cabin that you'll be in. Those vary. There are it's the equivalent of one cabin has what's like a hotel room, so 2 queen beds with a shared bath, and so, 2 roo like, you and a roommate could be in one of those, and it would be like if you were in you don't have any private space, but your cabin, it is the private space. Then there's, cabins that have 2 bedrooms and a living room and a shared bathroom, so you at least can go in there and have your own private space. Their little porches are the best, um, and it's always cool there, even in August. She said, "You still will get chilly in the evenings," so I was afraid it would be hot and muggy, and she's like, "Oh, no, it stays pretty much the same, up there," and so I was thrilled because I don't like to get hot, especially sleeping, um, and then there's those, and then I think there's a private cabin you have all to yourself for the people that wanna splurge on themselves, there's those, and they know where you signed up to go, so they take your luggage to your cabin. They let you know where it is, and, then we all gather down in one of the gathering rooms, and, we're gonna have a quick afternoon session, and then before dinner, everybody will go to their find out where their cabin is. They can freshen up because it's a travel day and, you know, but we'll have our opening session will be before dinner, and then, we will have a little bit of time to freshen up and see our cabin and everything, and then we gather at, the kitchen dining room place. More mocktails are waiting for us there, and I mentioned how Bob was, like, gonna have a a retreat, a vegan diet. And I'm like, I didn't know if I should pack beef jerky and, what can I do to give him some meat. And, but he said, I'm going to allow myself to open up to liking new foods. Like it was a mindset. And he was like, I was sort of surprised, but he's like, no, this is like part of the adventure, right? Like, I'll try it. That man did not leave one thing on his three-course meal plates. Like, he ate every bite of every meal, every entree, every, you know, what is it? Hors d'oeuvre that we got. Like, everything they put in front of us, he tried it and he couldn't get over how good it was. And dessert too. And so, yeah, he was he was like, "I can't believe how good I feel." And every day he came to life. Like, he had more energy, his cheeks got rosy, he was excited about, what was happening. And I, on the other hand, who give him a hard time about not eating well, I reacted to the vegan diet. It actually said to my body, we're going to get rid of anything here that is not going to serve you. And I was not happy the first night. I was up all night with that. It doesn't happen often, but if it happens, it's people who have the SAD diet, the standard American diet. And like, I didn't think I did, but apparently my body gets a little more of the SAD diet in it than I expected. And I'm sensitive to new things, whatever it is. So and I have to tell you, they were on it. They had ginger tea. They had personally went and found all the herbs on the land and made a concoction that I drank. I was like, I'll do anything. And, um, and it passed. And I still was more sad because it was good. It was so good. And I was sad that I had to back away. I ate probably too much the first day because it was so good. So I'm going to approach it a little slower. They're going to help me with that. But so that's a good tip if you're planning to join us, that we'll talk about pre-retreat. But yeah, so that's just day one. And we go to bed early, but there's a little, it's not the real fire pit, but it's a patio fire pit that is gas run, and we can sit around that after dinner for people that want to still visit and mingle. People that want to get a shower and go to bed can do that. It's really take care of yourself. This retreat is all about self-care, and it's actually self-care on times 10. Like, take care of yourself. If you're not rested and you need rest, but every day for me requires an open time for you to choose. And you can schedule to have a massage during that one of the days. You can take a nap one of the days. You can go on, there'll be a person that's going to do a guided walk through the forest, where forest bathing, oh, if you've never done forest bathing, there's nothing like forest bathing in this forest. I have to tell you, it's medicine. It's medicine. Um, and you can shop if you get like real in need of retail therapy. They have t-shirts for sale back at the place we had our first welcome banquet. So you might go up there. They have locally sourced bracelets people have made that they get. It helps families when you buy their locally made little jewelry and things like that. So um, and then every day after that, there's really 4 full days that we're there because that's our first arrival day. We usually start in the morning as Sarah knows, we are used to a morning ritual of meeting together and connecting and kind of clearing, looking, getting present with who and what are we up to? What's bothering us in our world? And we talk it out and process it out and we're prayer partners or spiritual mind treatments. But one of the things that we've been taught is the power of a spiritual mind treatment or a spiritual practice that includes a spiritual mind treatment. And there's so many different ways that you can do it. And we have adapted many of them into our morning routines and daytime and evening. Sarah's slogan that we all adopted is when things get heated, stop, drop, and pray. And, and we all go into, okay, let's get this handled and give it over, you know. But the morning spiritual time, there's something sacred about the daybreak. So it's in, it's highly encouraged to get up and meet in the temple. It's not religious at all. It's just a sacred space built down by the river and the boulders. And we will be there to do morning spiritual practice, and you can learn how to do breath work. You might learn a meditation time. There might be a guided meditation and visualization during that time. There could be some gentle stretching. It might involve energy healing, Reiki. There's, I'm just saying all the variety that might show up. And so we start the day there. You have time to go get yourself kind of ready or have breakfast. We have a little break after breakfast to get yourself ready for the morning session. Then we gather together in our circle and we get break for lunch. Then you usually have the afternoon. Then we come back and we meet again for more experiential time. And then we have dinner. And then we have evening spiritual uh, processes each evening. They're optional, but it's like you just don't want to miss because each one of them is special. And so their days are full, but they're slow. And the pace runs slower than my normal retreats. And there's plenty of time for you to do journaling, resting, just whatever. It's not a time for boredom because there's plenty to choose from. So I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to give all of it away. But in between, sandwiched in between that, the last day, which is the 6th, we literally get up, you get dressed. We do not have a spiritual practice together. We encourage you to do that on your own because I want people to keep doing it. When they leave, it's like no matter what the circumstance, get up a little bit earlier so that you are able to do that. And then pack your suitcase so it's by the door. And then we all gather and we have an earlier breakfast. And then we meet back at the top where we came in at 9 o'clock departure. So we go up there about 8:30, take a picture, and make sure our suitcases have been delivered to the van we're in, and they take us to the airport. We should arrive back at San Jose Airport by 11. And they recommend 3 hours um, to get your flight out like after 2. But if there isn't one and you need to get there sooner, that's probably going to cut it close. But honestly, we didn't have any trouble getting through security, and it went fast. So I think if you could get a flight, I would try to go as close to 1:30 or later. So, okay, that was more than I even thought I'd share. Look how she pulls stuff out of me. Ah.
So what would you say, like, at like this season of life, there's a lot going on for people, and if there was a way you could encourage them to, I guess, invest in themselves or some self-care, what would you say for that? Like, what, yeah, why would you see this as something beautiful for their soul?
Well, there's so many reasons of why now, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm in a big season of change right now, and I you know, I don't know why you would wait. Like, what the question I would say is, why are you waiting? And that answer is, I don't know if I could spend that money on myself. And I would tell you, why not? If you had a terminal disease and it was going to take that much money for you to get well, would you find it? And why wait until we're all getting the world is intense right now. I'm going to use that word. I don't think Sarah and I, neither one operate in things are not good or bad or right or wrong or dark or light, even though those things exist. Um, we think in terms of love what is. Because if we get all riled up, is it is it helping the world to be not at peace? Because that's putting all that riled up stuff in the world. And we get addicted to the news, and people have to know what's happening. And, you know, let yourself know 5% of what's happening, just enough to know. But then surround yourself with beauty and with peace. Like, claim your inner peace and guard it, safeguard it, claim your sovereignty. That's been my word this year, and I tell you all, it's changing my life. um, to not let my sovereignty go unnoticed. I so quickly abandon in my people-pleasing ways, and staying true and aligned to who I am, that's a conscious living. That's a choice of living consciously, and it's exhausting sometimes to have to live consciously and become aware of so much. But I have to tell you, like, you're going to either practice wellness or you're going to practice illness. And wellness starts with W-E, and illness starts with I. And in wellness, it involves the we. It involves truly connecting to other good humans, not in a negative way, but in a um the only way I can describe what happens is that you start to learn to see people in their divinity, and most importantly, the person you're looking at in the mirror. The self-criticism that we have, the way that we speak about ourselves or others has to stop. We are we are creating illness in our isolation, and the pandemic kind of made that possible. And I said to somebody, my social life is actually on Zoom these days because that's where I spend a lot of time. And that's not the same. It's not the same as getting a hug. It's not the same as sitting in a circle and knowing that you're one. To figure that out conceptually is one thing, experientially is another. And hearts beating together in rhythm. It's like you hear the drumbeat of Mother Earth and we regulate our heartbeat to that. And that all is priceless to me. It's an investment in how we take care of ourselves. And our nervous system is the source of stress. It's the one that's always scanning for danger. Are we safe? Is it going to be okay? It's always scanning because it's going to alert us if we're not. And I see more and more people just, you know, I don't know what else to call it except the nervous system burnout. And you'll either have a nervous breakdown or you will give it a rest. It's just reacting to what you're creating, and learning that, like, we're the source of it. We're the source of our own demise. And if you don't like hearing that, this wouldn't be the retreat for you. But to me, yes, it's an investment. And yes, you are worth every penny because it's wellness. It's spiritual wellness, physical wellness, emotional and psychological wellness. It hits wellness on every part of who we are. And you are witnessed all week in your divinity. And you have no other option really except to step into it and move forward and leave the stuck part. Like, I would also say, where are you stuck and what's the price of being stuck and what's not happening? What's happening to the world while you're not putting your gifts in it, right? There's so many ways to answer that question because It's limitless, the cost of not taking care of yourself. And I will tell you a statistic in 2027, it is retreats and wellness gatherings are expected to hit a what I forget the number, like 30 trillion, is that right? It's in the trillions of dollars. Maybe it's only 3, but still $3 trillion? Like, I can't even imagine how many zeros that there are in that, and it's booming because people need this, and they're trading in vacations where they go on a vacation and come home needing a vacation because they got all this laundry and all this stuff to do, and this one, you don't go home exhausted, you go home peaceful, restored, rested, inspired, you know, that's priceless to me. So, yeah. And you asked me how to know, like, how can I go find out about this retreat? And I have a URL, and it is www.sacredwisdomretreats, and we'll put it in the show notes here. Um, sacredwisdomretreats.com. And there's a little bit of everything that will show up. There's sound healing. If you've never experienced it, you'll love that. We will be smudging, which is a practice of clearing energy. There will be the food itself, is going to be catered to that. Every aspect is covered. You are covered and you are held in the most loving place that I can imagine creating this side of heaven. And I think our job is to bring heaven to earth, and this is my way of doing it.
So would you say, is this for, I mean, it could be for a normal person, a business leader, moms, dads, like what is was kind of put on your heart for
Right.
the people?
This is the hardest question for me because in my business world, everyone wants you to narrow down your niche to what's your avatar, right? And I would be like, well, it doesn't have to be a man or a woman, it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody in their 30s, they could be in their 70s. I've had all of those at my retreats. And you have to be real. You just have to be a real human and willing to admit that you're a real human with some woundedness, with some parts of you, some blind spots that you don't know exist that you're willing to clear, like with love, lovingly clear some blind spots you have about who you are. It's women, moms that are burnout. I, you know, stay at home dads, which I've come to know on a personal level. I have a whole different level of what that's like and what they're doing and what it's like to be seen as a stay at home dad in society. Um, how there's That's just a very interesting niche that I'd love to dive into. It could be women who are going through menopause and coming out the other side, like, I think I'm going crazy. And to me, you're just awakening. And that's what the name of this retreat is awake where the heart awakens. Because to me, that's our very first crisis is an awakening. If you have had anything, maybe you're in grief like I was. I was grieving. You could be the parent or sibling or spouse of an addict, walking that codependent, breaking those codependencies without losing the relationship is a delicate walk that I've been on. And so I include that in my avatar. She's a mix mash. She's it's a she for me because a lot of times it's who was I yesterday, and who was I a year ago. That's who we're working with. But someone desperately looking for ways to stay in the wellness lane while going through a lot of hard knocks in life, a lot. People having money beliefs that say they don't know how to afford this. It's like the reasons that you think you don't have the money or why you go, because you're not connected to the abundance. And there's abundance. And I know how that feels when your checking account argues with you. But I can attest to the fact that when you shift that limiting belief, it it changes a lot in life. So people with money problems, people with, if you're in active addiction, it's not recommended. It's not a treatment program for that. So, but if you are in a relationship with someone in an active addiction and you're trying to break some codependency, yes. Or if you're been sober and you're in recovery, and a lot of that means you're also codependent. They get both of them, and so that would work. You could just be a normal, everyday Midwestern happy woman living life, restoring old farmhouses, and, um, wants to grow and transform, and wants to still heal, parts of herself, or himself. Um it's anyone, it's couples that are like, "We're broken, and we don't want to give up yet, and we don't know how to, like, find the parts of each other that who's that person we fell in love with? Well, she's buried under the laundry basket, and he's buried under his pile of work every day, and they forgot to nurture their relationship along the way, so they can come rediscover that. um So, if you're healing in relationships, if you're healing in your purpose and calling, if you're healing in your career path and money issues, if you're healing in just, if you're going through, a scary illness, um, if you're going through a terminal illness, I'm a death doula. I love to talk about what it's like to be facing a terminal illness for people and help them make that journey a very beautiful journey. And I love being able to assist families through things like that. So, golly, that I don't know how to again, I don't know how to narrow that down, but that would be it's for anyone that just needs something more than the rat race, than the treadmill, than the disillusionment, than the fear, the living out of fear and scarcity. All of those things seem to be winning right now in the world, based on what I get reports from my clients about, because that's my connection. But it's stressful. They're dealing with stress, a lot of stress, and it's the number one killer. So you've got to start investing and do something about it. You just have to know that to me, it's no question. The answer is yes. Sign me up. So, yeah, if it's not this retreat, find one. Find one. There's people, uh, retreats are every kind of retreat that you would want, you can pick. There's retreats for people who want to knit. There's people, this is not in my niche. This is nowhere near my avatar, but I will tell you that I met a retreat leader, and his whole thing is men get to be naked in the forest. They get to go be just primitive men and build fires and be cavemen together, I guess. And they are full with waiting lists. So, whatever's your thing, there's a retreat for that. And if there isn't, talk to me about that, because training people to do retreats is one of the new things that's on my vision board. Because if I can just do one retreat a year, but I could get 10 people to do one retreat a year, I just did 11 retreats a year, right? So I love talking to people about apprenticing, shadowing, learning how they can do their retreats, and customize them how they fit. So I just that's the new way. It's the new way. It's the only way for me. So fun. It's so good for the soul. It's so good for our spirit to connect to that oneness, that consciousness. So awaken, let this be the wake up call, before you say, well, this time next year, who knows what we might be facing. It's just, there's only now, as my friend Sarah says very often.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, Jenny, that I love, like I said, with and asking you questions, just the depth and the richness of how you answer, and just this absolutely beautiful experience that's coming up in August.
Yes.
Just, you're really in your, from a reflecting back to you, I should say, not speaking over you, but just reflecting, just watching you speak about it, your passion and your love, and just how much you really put into what you give, and to see it sort of mirror back to you. It's just incredible, just to see you in
Mm,
your passion and your purpose and your power, and just to see you lit up is just
yeah.
absolutely amazing.
It is the place I love to be more than any of the work I do, and I love what I do, every aspect of it.
Hmm.
Um, that retreat setting for me is it. It's always been it. I the minute it starts, I I am a different I don't know, I become who I'm meant to be, and I try to stay in that space all the time, but during retreat, it's no effort. It's all there for me. So I love doing them. And I want to say that with our magic wand flying around, Sarah and I both have them, is that we are hoping if you decide to join us that you will get to meet both of us because Sarah she's got like a bag of tricks that I am I am never sure what she's going to tell me next that she's up to, but one day she is building and staining, what's it called that at your mother-in-law's house? It was like over the where a carport or something. Yeah. And she's like, I'm staining today. She's renovated an old building in their neighboring town that's going to be this retreat experience that I get to go see. I can't wait because I've watched for a year what she's doing. She's covered in paint, or she's got she does a lot, and she's like Rosie the Rosie the what who's Rosie. She can do everything that construction, everything demolition, and they bring back buildings back to life. And so her energy, you can imagine, is such a fit for what I do because it's restoration. It's demolishing our limiting beliefs and rebuilding constructive ones. And that's what she does as a coach. She's a brilliant coach. Um, and because she's been coaching me all year, that's a handful. And she also she does human design. She has a background with our our birth charts and how that fits into our human design. If you've never heard of it, please ask about it because that is incredible information about ourselves. And she just has so many things she does that are beautiful. She sings, she writes music and sings. I just found that out a month ago. I'm like, what? What? All this time I didn't know this about her. So who knows what she'll pull out that she just sort of I told her it was like me going, "Oh, I baked a pan of brownies today." That's what she says when I wrote songs and recorded them. And I'm like, "What?" And they're beautiful. So she got tired of looking for the music she wanted, so she just wrote it and sings it and she's got it out there on Spotify. So you'll get to meet she is our rich and famous celebrity of the retreat. And
No, I think we connect with community. You are also
yes,
very community minded,
yes,
creativity, and our heart for celebration, even in the midst of, you know, going through the demolition phases. But yeah,
right,
definitely,
right.
definitely love community, and Yes, celebrating and using our magic wands daily, finding our joy even again in
Yeah.
the midst of stuff, but that's where we get to, like, direct our energy. We get to
Yeah.
choose again and again and again, and then just knowing, like, your gift, your zone of genius. Yeah, I've seen you in your zone of genius with the, um, the retreat, working with people, helping them restore, find their way back home. Oh my goodness, like,
Yeah.
what a
So we both are
fantastic.
yeah, we both are on, have that same thing going on, and, with that theme, I should say, and she does it in the inner world, and she does it in the outer world. I, on the other hand, do not. I would probably enjoy assisting, but so I could learn how to do all that stuff, but I'm not in that outside world very much to convert historic downtown buildings into what they are, what you're doing. So, if you are ever in Southeast South Dakota, you're gonna wanna stop by. It's like a landmark to stop by and see and meet Sarah. So, you will get to hear about that. We do, so many fun things together. Every morning we get to talk, but we get to incorporate deep thought. This course that we're in, this class, this school that we're in, it's spiritual psychology, and it's learning skills for coaching, and it's learning to be a master practitioner coach. Um, and that's all what we're there for. But beyond that, there's so much more. There's so much more. And we read books that take deep thought to a whole new level. And being around people that like that is just so fun for me. And Sarah's one that she's out on the skinny branch farther than I am even, and so there isn't anything that's off limits. So we have such fun together, and I hope that you out there listening would just consider this investment in yourself. If you are even remotely interested, please reach out to me. Um, don't just go sign up if you're not sure. You can go read about it there, but it tells you how to email me or I don't know, you can get a hold of me somehow. That's the part I'm not my technology, but find me, email me, hit the just tell me more button, and let's talk because, um, I want it to be right for you. I wanna know your why and your what, and know that I will tell you if it's not a good time or it's not a good match. And I'm not here to just enroll people. I'm here to heal, transform, and help people grow. And that's my mission. And so if you're not a match for that, it wouldn't be good for any of us. So no pressure, just pure enthusiasm and honesty. I tell the truth. So you can count on that. So don't be afraid to call me up and say, Jenny, I want to talk about this or, you know, whatever. So, yeah, thank you all for listening. Sarah, thank you for your questions, giving me a chance to reconnect and energize this beautiful mission of mine. And, yeah, and just encourage you if you're still listening, there's part of you that is listening because you know you need to find your retreat. You need to find where you want to go and if this is it, then come join us in 6 weeks. And I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but I will tell you that because this is a kind of a break in my sovereignty series, but um, for the month of June and probably the first week of July, sorry, the first week of August, we're going to be there. The first week of July. So if you're still listening, reach out to me because there is some scholarship money that it could be available for some of you. So don't let that stop you from just finding out. So, um, to let you know. Okay. Yay. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, thank you,
And
Jenny, for you and the blessing that you are, and just for putting together just this beautiful, beautiful retreat that's coming up that is really going
yeah,
to bless people.
yes, 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 it
Yeah,
will. Yes, it will.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so it is. It has been declared. So,
Hmm.
yes. So, all right. Well, thank you for your time today, Sarah. And I, as always, will talk to you in the morning and we will carry on with our beautiful friendship. So, to all my listeners, take care of yourself, invest in yourself. Whatever you do, do it with love. Take care.
Hey there, you guys. This is Jenny piping in at the end of that fantastic and fun dialogue with my good friend and colleague, Sarah, who asked really good questions, and it helped me gain clarity about why retreats are at the heart of everything I do. I wanted to let you know the retreat for 2026 is closed, but we will be going back. In 2027, and I probably can give you the date right now. It will be on, excuse me, uh, September 26th through October 1st. So I will have more details. I just confirmed those dates, and I will be getting more details for you if you all are interested. So just reach out and let me know so that you get to be actually first in line and not miss the opportunity to attend one of our fabulous retreats. So there is that. I just wanted to make sure after inviting you on this podcast, by the time it published, we had to open up a new date for in 2027. And I will probably be offering a retreat in North Carolina um, sometime either early next year or possibly squeezing it in later this fall. So if you're interested in what it is we do after listening to Sarah and I discuss, just yeah, reach out to me. I like to talk. I don't pressure or strong arm anybody into a decision that doesn't match with what their energy is looking for. So you're safe to inquire without the pressure to make a commitment. Just wanted to let you know that. Have a fantastic day, and I will be back for our next exciting adventure in podcast land. You will not believe what's coming. Talk to you soon.